The Algerian War, also known as the Algerian War of Independence or the Algerian Revolution, was a war between France and the Algerian National Liberation Front. In French it is called Front de Libération Nationale, FLN, from 1954 to 1962, which led to Algeria gaining its independence from France, an important decolonization war. It was a complex conflict characterized by guerrilla warfare, Maquis fighting, and the use of torture by both sides. The conflict also became a civil war between the different communities, and within the communities, the war took place mainly on the territory of Algeria, with repercussions in metropolitan France. Effectively started by members of the National Liberation Front, FLN, on November 1, 1954, during the Toussaint Rouge, Red All Saints Day. The conflict led to serious political crisis in France, causing the fall of the Fourth French Republic, 1946-58. Replaced by the Fifth Republic with a strengthened presidency, the brutality of the methods employed by the French forces failed to win hearts and minds in Algeria, alienated support in metropolitan France, and discredited French prestige abroad. After major demonstrations in Algeria and several other cities in favor of independence, 1960, and a United Nations resolution recognizing the right to independence, de Gaulle decided to open a series of negotiations with the FLN. These concluded with the signing of the Avian Accords in March 1962. A referendum took place on 8 April 1962, and the French electorate approved the Avian Accords. The final result was 91% in favor of the ratification of this agreement, and on the 1st of July, the Accords were subject to a second referendum in Algeria, where 99.72% voted for independence and just 0.28%. The planned French withdrawal led to a state crisis. This included various assassination attempts on de Gaulle as well as some attempts at military coups. Most of the former were carried out by the Organisation Armée Secrète, a grand organization formed mainly from French military personnel supporting a French Algeria, which committed a large number of bombings and murders both in Algeria and in the homeland. To stop the planned independence, upon independence in 1962, 900,000 European Algerians, Pieds-Noirs, fled to France within a few months in fear of the FLN's revenge. The French government was totally unprepared for the vast number of refugees, which caused turmoil in France. The majority of Algerian Muslims who had worked for the French were disarmed and left behind as a treaty between French and Algerian authorities declared that no actions could be taken against them. However, the Harkis in particular, having served as auxiliaries with the French army, were regarded as traitors and many were murdered by the FLN or by lynch mobs, often after being abducted and tortured. About 91,000 managed to flee to France, some with help from their French officers acting against orders, and as of 2016 they and their descendants form a significant part of the Algerian French population. After Algeria's independence was recognized, Ahmed Ben Bella quickly became more popular and thereby more powerful. In June 1962, he challenged the leadership of Premier Ben Youssef Ben Khedda. This led to several disputes among his rivals in the FLN, which were quickly suppressed by Ben Bella's rapidly growing support, most notably within the armed forces. By September, Bella was in de facto control of Algeria and was elected premier in a one-sided election on September 20th and was recognized by the US on September 29th. Algeria was admitted as the 109th member of the United Nations on October 8, 1962. Afterward, Ben Bella declared that Algeria would follow a neutral course in world politics. Within a week he met with US President John F. Kennedy, requesting more aid for Algeria with Fidel Castro and expressed approval of Castro's demands for the abandonment of Guantanamo Bay. Bello returned to Algeria and requested that France withdraw from its bases there. In November, his government banned political parties, providing that the FLN would be the only party allowed to function overtly. Shortly thereafter, in 1965, Bello was deposed and placed under house arrest, and later exiled, by Houari Boumediene, who served as president until his death in 1978. Algeria remained stable. For Algerians of many political factions, the legacy of the War of Independence was a legitimization or even sanctification of the unrestricted use of force in achieving a goal deemed to be justified. Once invoked against foreign colonialists, the same principle could also be turned with relative ease against fellow Algerians. The FLN's struggle to overthrow colonial rule and the ruthlessness exhibited by both sides in that struggle were mirrored